All right. So honored to have this woman with me. Betsy Helmuth is here. She is a podcaster. More than that, she's an interior designer. And you've had the podcast, your Uploft Interior Design podcast. How many years?
10 years.
Girl, you and I are the same. We've been podcasting a decade.
We're not the same. You're making a lot more from your podcast than me. So there are some key differences. But yes, we both are long in the tooth with this podcast game, for sure.
Well, you're making a lot more in interior design, thank God, because if you saw my interior design, it would not be good. Hence the one like little dying leaf in the back right now at my new house. So my pod studio needs you.
Well, I loved your wallpaper before, by the way. I know you were waffling on whether or not to bring it back. I was a fan.
You and everybody else, I may just bring that back. I don't know. I might have to. People really enjoyed that. So it was all lips, by the way, for people who are like, what was the background? But look, I wanted to have you on today. I'm kind of doing a series talking to podcasters, beginner podcasters, seasoned podcasters like yourself that have worked with me either on my Go Big podcasting courses or one-on-one consulting. And you are amazing. You and I spent an hour together to talk about your podcast and really make some tweaks that you wanted to make. Why did you initially reach out to me when it came to podcast consulting?
Well, I was very hesitant because I had been in this game for a long time. I mean, maybe even a couple months longer than you. I'm like, okay, do I really need help? I know how to plug in my mic. I know the platforms I've been using for so long, blah, blah, blah. And I started listening to you because of the Drake Bell episode. I
Love.
went down that rabbit hole, right? And then I was like, oh my gosh, she does Welcome to Plathville. Oh my gosh, she does Sister Wives. So I got hooked, right? And so I was listening to you week after week and you're promoting your course. And I was like, Betsy, you know everything. Then I reached out to you and I said, you know what? I know everything because, arrogant 10 years podcasting, but I'm stagnant. My podcast is not growing and I am losing a little bit of passion for it. I mean, I've been talking about
A lot of
drapes for
work.
10 years. Yeah, it's just it started to feel stagnant. And so you wrote me back and you said there would be lots that I could learn. And I was a little skeptical because, like I said, I've been doing it for so long. And then you referred me to somebody else that you'd worked with, and she raved. And I was like, Betsy, what are you waiting for? Like, let's just try it. I tell you, in the first 10 minutes of talking with you, first of all, you talk quickly, which I love. I spent many years in New York, and I love it just because that's how I process, but also because I got so much value. I could not believe in 10 minutes what you were able to share with me, the shifts that you were able to make in terms of the opportunities that I could see with my podcast. I got off of our call. I had pages of notes. I could not write fast enough, so I'm glad you also recorded it. Um, and I immediately started putting things in action. Now, I was so naive. Like, I thought I could change my entire show in a week. And it turns out it's harder to like change your hosting platform and all these things. But things had been working for me for 10 years, but I'd been surviving, not thriving.
Great.
Both.
I love the way you say that. Yes.
Yeah. And so you showed me that not only are there platforms where I can make more money that I just had never even heard about. And I was in a podcast mastermind. I am in a podcast mastermind with several big podcasters, and they don't know about this stuff.
Okay, wait. They
Yes.
were shared with you, by the way. So, because I want to hear more about like moving platforms because that's a big one, and
Yes.
that's one that I
Yes.
usually recommend to most people because they, of course, right? Buzzsprout, Libsyn, they kind of get on the ones that you hear about all the time, but the ones you can really make money off of are the ones like Megaphone, Art 19. People don't even know about those,
I
but
did not.
you're in this podcast mastermind class. Did anyone ever talk to you about Podroll, which I think is probably one of the places you're making the most money?
No, I had never heard of that. I had never heard of that. And the reason, and sometimes you got to spend money to make money. And the reason I hadn't moved to Megaphone, I'd heard of them. I had never heard of Art 19, but I'd heard of them is because they cost money. And Libsyn was free for a while. I was like, oh, this is so nice, just plug and play. And it's like, no, sometimes when you spend a little bit of money, you get that money back because Megaphone, first of all, I went through this a company that you recommended, Impressions, and so they basically host it for free, and then I advertise with them. So I'm making money from two different ways now through Podroll. which is set up through impressions and then through impressions with their ads. I mean, what was I doing for 10 years?
Well, you don't know what you don't know. And by the way, impressions.fm is the company.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the things when I work with clients, whether it's Go Big Podcasting or 101 is, or sorry, one-on-one consulting, I give you a couple different platforms to look into, right? And a couple different hosting ad sales companies. Some of my go-tos are impressions.fm, True Native, I love. There's Asa Collective. So I try to give people a couple different options because you should interview with people and find who gets you, who gets your podcast. Do they sell similar shows? Are they going to be able to help you monetize? Impressions
Right.
is one of my favorites. So, yeah, okay, so tell us like how much were you now again, you're unique, not really unique actually. I think more people do it this way. You really use your podcast as a funnel to
Yeah,
your own consulting, coaching, training, all that because you teach
right.
people how to become interior designers, correct?
Yes. So I have a robust program. That's kind of the end of my funnel. It's not for everyone, right? But if people always dreamed of being an interior designer but don't want to go back to university, I have a program that teaches you step by step. It's intensive. It's 10 weeks online, no joke. It's an investment, but by the end, you'll be an interior designer who can work with confidence with both software and clients, right? But there's other things within the funnel too. So I don't just make revenue from that on my podcast. I also have online courses, things like that. But you need more listeners to kind of come in that funnel. And I had been noticing a stagnation over the past 3 years where the numbers just hadn't been changing. They hadn't been going down, which was nice. But when you're doing this day after day, you need that return on investment because I do have so many other places to put my time, whether it's the interior design firm or writing books or social media. And so I was like, I made a lot of money when I initially launched that course through the podcast back in 2019, like made a windfall for the first couple of years. And then it's tapered because my listeners have already heard. Those people who felt it was a fit have already enrolled, and I need new listenership. And I kind of couldn't see my podcast with new eyes. So talking to you for even an hour, I just was amazed at the value. Every minute was tip packed. And I kind of you gave me a lot of things to research. So I set up like exploratory calls with all these places that you mentioned, impressions, True Native, blah, 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 blah. And I was a little bit overwhelmed. It was the right thing because I needed to be more educated. Like you gave me the paths to go down, and then I needed to understand what this meant. Like I'd never even really noticed that Podroll recommends other shows on my feed. So when your feed would come up and it would say you should also listen to Oprah's podcast or whatever, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that that was a money-making venture.
Yeah, you're like, why is Sarah Fraser doing this? Not for free.
I kind of thought Apple was doing it. I just didn't think deeply about any of it.
Sure.
But there's all these opportunities. And like you say, you cannot grow organically these days. I was doing all these grassroots things, reaching out to other podcasters to say, would you like to be on my show? I mean, you're
It's
crawling,
crawling
not running.
now. And it's so time consuming. You're a mother,
Yeah.
you're a wife, you're a business owner. To be
Yep.
sitting there and emailing podcasters in your genre or who are a little bigger, I honestly think it's actually one of the worst strategies people can do now. It really is. Again, 2019, pre-pandemic, even during the pandemic, it was a fantastic way to grow. But now that we're back open for business, more people have podcasts, it's not as effective. That sort of run its course, of people. It's one of the things that I least recommend. It's like it will take you years now to
I saw no growth. And I was
yeah.
talking with people who were big in the content space, who had their own podcasts that were 3 times more successful than me, crawling, not running. It was not, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. I'm glad I connected with them. It was fun to meet new people. It's fun to have new voices on your show. It was not a growth strategy for me.
Uh, so true. All right, let's hit a couple points before I want to move on to talk to you about growth because that's probably growth and monetization are the two hardest parts for podcasters, especially seasoned podcasters. For everyone. But okay, so you moved platforms to Megaphone. Talk to us about that transition. Was it difficult? Did they walk you through it? How was it?
Oh, it's been a rocky road. Rocky road. Yeah, it's
A lot,
been
yeah.
like much harder than I thought. Totally worth it. I'm so glad. I actually was moving from Libsyn and we were having a lot of trouble moving over. And so I had to involve tech support, who was ultimately, I think, the owner of Libsyn, wound up coming on and talking to me on the phone. And he's like, well, why are you even leaving this platform? You've been with us for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. He's like, we have tons of monetization strategies on Libsyn. And I was like, why didn't you tell me about any of them? I have upgraded to
five
pro. I've
years
been
ago.
paying you. Yes, I have been paying you this much. And he's like, well, if you don't reach out, we assume you're fine. And it's like, no, if you want to retain me, show me the opportunities. Send me a newsletter that says, hey, did you know we offer this and that? So as I'm leaving, he's like showing me these monetization efforts within Libsyn. And I'm like, too late, buddy. Too late. You know, Megaphone onboards you and immediately shows you the opportunities. And I loved that I could talk one-on-one with these people that you put me in contact with. So it wasn't like I was just reading the website or trying to navigate it myself. There really has been support all along the way, which has been invaluable because tech is not my jam. Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, it's a lot. It's time consuming. It's a lot. It's one of those things once you get your RSS feed over, and your RSS feed is basically just your memory of all your episodes, right? It's basically that one little log line is your entire catalog of episodes. So you have to get that over to a new platform, and then you have to kind of go in and back monetize. Okay, so that had some challenges, but has turned out to be worth it. Can you give people an estimate? Like, you were saying maybe before you and I met, you monetized your podcast basically through clients, right? Through clients, course sales, consulting. Once you started on with impressions that then put you on Megaphone and Podroll, can you give us a rough estimate of now how much you're making monthly from the podcast alone? Just that aspect.
Well, I have it all written down. But from just Podroll, it's about 200 a month. It's not amazing yet, but also I'm going to do your strategy that you recommended, and I'm going to reinvest everything that I make in Podroll back into Podroll so they can promote my show on shows like yours and on Oprah's show. So when you're downloading that feed, you also see my latest episode. So I think the key is, again, that spending money to make money, reinvesting, not only working with you, I felt like I was taking a big leap because you were not cheap. Sarah Fraser, don't come cheap, people. Not if you want that one-on-one attention. No, sir. But I felt like I was
True.
ready for that since I'd been doing it for so long. And best hour I've spent recently, because even though I must say, I'm starting this whole new strategy with not only changing platforms and whatever, but you kind of inspired me to shake up my content. You know, the reason I listen to you is that I love pop culture. I'm watching all the junk. All the junk, I'm watching it. I'm loving it. Married at First Sight, Sister Wives, Seeking Sister Wives. Hello, it's coming back tonight. All this stuff I'm deep in. I didn't even know about polyfamily.
Oh,
It's
the best,
life
although they're not
changing.
coming back.
I know, but I'm following them on social, and that itself is like a little season episode. Um, yeah, I'm deep in. So I was like, you mentioned that maybe I should start sharing some of that stuff. I'm reading all the celebrity memoirs. Just I live on that stuff. And actually, it's a lot of the stuff that I'm watching while I'm designing in night and bed at night in bed. I'm watching like 90 Day Fiance while I'm finding your pillows and sofas. Um, so you suggested that I make it half of my podcast, which I think is going to be an adjustment for my listeners, but it has been so fun for me. It has given me renewed energy in my own show. And so now I spend half the show answering people's design dilemmas that they write in with pictures, and the other half focusing on the pop culture stuff I'm so obsessed about. I love true crime. I'm kind of into all of that stuff and giving me a forum to talk about something that I'm sort of passionate about also has really revved the engine after 10 years.
Yes, good. Well, that's the one thing that I wanted with this course. I see so many people, and over the years, I've seen so many people put in an incredible amount of work to their podcast and then give up because they either get burnt out, they can't figure out how to monetize, they can't figure out how to grow. That was the catalyst for doing these things. And one of the things is it's like you said, you've been doing this for 10 years. You've shown everyone every different type of way you can add a rug to your home and color palettes. So it's like if you're already passionate about this other thing, this great hobby of reality television, why not? You're killing two birds with one stone. You're energized, you like it, you're going to connect with your audience, hopefully connect with a new audience that then maybe they've thought about interior design, their sister has. So I'm so glad. It's one of the things I try to tell people all the time. Podcasting has no rules. There are no rules. Yes, you have obviously, Uploft Interior Design podcast has a theme, right? We talk to people about interior design, what they need to know. But at the same time, this isn't like we're on MSNBC and the only thing we can talk about is like money. We can talk about other things, other guests. So I'm so glad to see you do that because I think it does bring a new passion to it.
Yeah. Well, and again, you get so myopic. This is my show. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Talking with someone new, talking with someone who's very successful in the industry, they can show you opportunities you don't see to either reach new audiences or to monetize in places that you haven't been looking. I just was so helpful to have this kind of mentor type experience. And you had obviously done your homework before the call. So we were able to launch right in, and it wasn't like I had to spend a lot of time giving you my backstory. You already came with ideas, which I really appreciated.
Love to hear that. Talk to me about growth. Growth, like we kind of got into it about this whole guesting thing, which used to be a very big strategy 5 years ago for podcasts, which meant you tried to get on kind of a show your similar size or bigger, and you were hoping that audience would like you and come over. And, 5 years ago they did, right? Not so
Right.
successful in the past 3 years, but growth has been hard for your show still, right? Like, is that still a point? Okay, talk to us about that.
Well, and so doing all of this, I not only like changed kind of the crux of my show doing 50-50 now, pop culture design, but I decided I wanted to rebrand the name. So I was affordable interior design podcast for a long time, but I kind of wanted to open things up and more reinforce my firm's brand, which is Uploft. So I just changed the name, I changed the cover art. It's been a lot of changes. One change kind of beget these others, right? And so I felt obligated, or I guess not obligated. I felt like this was the opportunity to reframe the podcast. If there was anything I wanted to change, I could kind of lump it all together and do this refresh. And it's my 10 years. So I was telling my listeners, this is my birthday present to myself. My anniversary present is that I want to talk about things I'm excited about. I want to try something a little crazy. Not that I needed permission, because this is not MSNBC, as I've been reminded, but I almost wanted to have a reason to say, I'm going off the rails, come with me. And the problem, I think, because I think my listenership has not accelerated yet, but I'm going through so many changes since June when we talked. But I think that my show used to be very kid friendly. I'm talking about drapes, I'm talking about how deep your sectional should be. And now I'm talking about polyfamily, and who made the baby and why we can't just talk about it and who spends the night with who. So now I have to have these new kind of alerts on the second half of my show. I go there with a lot of things that I never used to really. I always had my moments of oversharing, of TMI, but now I'm just fully going there. I think my podcast has taken a turn because now half of it is not child friendly. Half of it I let my um
I love that you're talking about
opinions.
this. You
Yeah.
have to do when you do a rebrand in any direction, right? I see this with podcasters now a lot in the political realm, okay? Meaning that they've decided they're going to talk about politics in one way or the other. No problem. It's your right to do that. It's your podcast. But once you do that, and it doesn't have to be as extreme as politics, you're seeing it pop culture. You are going to lose a portion of your audience and you're going to begin to gain a new portion. 100%. It takes time. It's a new shift. You're probably going to get some comments, some reviews, some messages, oh, I used to like when I hate this. Why are you doing this? But if it energizes you, if it brings you joy, if it's something you're already talking about, you need to stick with it because that is something you're going to continue to do. Forcing yourself to do content that you're not not that you're not excited about all the amazing interior work you do, but you've done it, So it's like follow your own gut and instinct. Clearly, you have a good one because you've got a very successful business. So keep going. But that's something that people
Yeah.
have a hard time wrapping their head around because once you do it, it's great. I've done many iterations of my own show over the years and lost people and picked up new people.
hmm Yeah. And my husband is a comedy writer and he worked for SNL and he would talk to Lauren Michaels about sort of new ideas or whatever. And Lauren Michaels has this phrase that I think is really helpful here. And it's passion always plays. If you are passionate, if you
Love that.
bring that love for whatever you're talking about, people will be inspired, people will follow you because that energy is infectious. Even if they're not necessarily wed to everything that you're talking about in terms of that being their favorite topic. Does that make sense?
Say it again. Passion always
Always
pays.
plays.
Oh my God.
So, just an example. Years ago, and I'm going to date myself, guys. I'm not as young as I look on YouTube or TikTok, but
Here
I
you
used to listen to Car Talk. Did you ever listen to Car Talk?
God, why
Click
am
and Clack.
I familiar?
Okay. Anyway, big radio show. I don't give a lick about cars. I don't know anything about cars.
Okay.
I don't even know how I came upon Car Talk. We're just driving around on a Sunday afternoon. I don't know. And I became obsessed with Car Talk. And you'd write in about the make and model of your car, and you'd ask them to help you fix the sound that your carburetor is. I don't know. I didn't know what they were talking about, but they were so passionate and they were so into the topic, so knowledgeable, and their chemistry was super fun, click and clack. So I listened every week. I would never miss Car Talk. And I still don't know how to like change my oil but I was obsessed because their passion played. Yeah.
I freaking love that. I love it. So your show is still kind of in this transition period in a big way. We've
Yeah.
done a rebrand, we've done an artwork rebrand. We're now over to impressions. We're on Podroll. Talk to me about because I this is one of the things I recommend all the time, and you and I'll even talk more about this offline. I am a firm believer at this stage in the podcast game, you to grow, you have to invest. And it doesn't have to be $5,000 a month, but I think $1,000 a month is something people have to begin to kind of comprehend if they want to get to that, 10,000 listeners a month, 15,000, and then when you get to 15, 20, you got to think about 1,500 a month, 20, because it's just the name of the game now. All these guys are shifting their algorithms from Apple to Spotify. Spotify's big. They're prioritizing video. They want you to do video. They're
Yep.
pushing so if they have an algorithm to make money, it's getting harder to do it organically. So have you
Yep.
thought about what you're going to, and again, you're going through a lot of change, but have you thought about any advertising or growth kind of strategies you want to implement?
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to wait for my rebrand to be complete. I needed a new intro, new outro. I had to like redo everything, right? And I wanted that to be settled and kind of on terra firma before I started putting money into it. I don't want somebody to become obsessed with the Affordable Interior Design podcast and a month later change it to Uploft Interior Design podcast.
Great
So
point.
that is going to be complete this month. And then I'll be able to start rolling out some money. And I agree, for too many years, I wouldn't even say, even though this is a trait of mine, I can be penny wise, pound foolish, right? That I don't want to invest, I don't want to spend money because there's no guarantee that you make money. But you have to put yourself out there. And I'm completely seeing that now. But I think the other part of it is you have to find ways for your podcast to pay you back. So you have to have some kind of funnel in mind. I would not just go advertising on Podroll or advertising with these other companies without knowing that your podcast has points of entry within the show where you can make money on your terms. Because it's nice to get the commercials, but you have to hit a pretty big level before you're seeing significant reimbursement from these initiatives.
Yes.
And so I'm not quite there yet, but I'm almost there. So I think the key is when you get those hardcore fans in your show that love you, know, like, and trust, because having 10 to 15K is still something, even if the advertisers aren't willing to double down. You have to have ways to people can directly reach you, whether it's joining your mailing list or whatever, to sell to them something that you own, like your podcast classes, right? Or like working with you one-on-one. So I think that would be what I would recommend to podcasters is before you invest, um, think about how you're going to make money on your own terms as well.
Okay,
You're
you've
going
given
to
us
direct.
passion plays, and now you got to think about your money rules. But it's so true. You have to think about what is the end goal. That's one of the parts that I talk. You already had that, but one of the things in the courses is we really identify, what your strategy is going to be. Do you want to be a daily podcaster like myself? That's a whole different goal, amount of work, that whole thing. Do you have an existing business? Like you said, you can get this. I mean, 10 to 15,000 engaged people and downloads every month is huge, especially if you have something that you are offering them in another area. So
That's
yeah,
right.
you've got to, I love that. You have to identify where and how do you want to make money from this? Is it your own coaching? Is it your
Yep.
own course? Is it your own whatever baking products? Or, are you going to kind of go full time like myself? What's the end game? So that's great.
Yep. And
Betsy,
Seth Godin says you only need 1,000 true fans, 1,000 true blue fans who will follow you wherever you go and buy things that you make with passion, love, and, integrity. And it's true. Get those 1,000 true fans and nurture them. Only talk to them. And whoever else follows you, great. But only talk to those people. That way your message is clear, who you are and what you want to be is clear. And I did shift a little bit. So I kind of am maybe losing the moms who used to listen to my show, carpooling with their kids to soccer or whatever. You got to mute the last part. But but this is who I am. This is the kind of fan I'm looking for now as I segue.
fabulous. What would you say? Obviously, I loved, I love talking to you because you are somebody that, you do your homework, you do your research, and you're conscious about money. If
Yeah.
somebody's on the fence about consulting with me, so not even the courses, but consulting one-on-one, what would you tell them if they're feeling some hesitancy?
Now, by consulting, do you mean like having an initial exploratory call or going for the one-on-one coaching?
Going for the one-on-one coaching like we did, if they're on the fence about that.
Well, the thing that I loved is that your advice was tailored to my show. So you had me fill out a form ahead of time. You'd obviously done your research ahead of time. So I wasn't just getting generic prescriptives, even though you might share this with a lot of people because I got a lot of value and there were some nuggets I think a lot of people could benefit from. But I liked that you were like, you're doing this now, try this. You're doing this now, try this. So I took the video and I put it in ChatGPT and had them. I'm personifying
Whoever it
ChatGPT,
is.
all those little trolls, all those little elves who give me that, juicy takeaway. They like made me a 10-step plan for how to move forward. And I plugged it in my calendar and just worked it because there were you put so many verbs in your sentences. Do this, do that, try this, talk to this person. I'm going to introduce you in an email. And that saved me so much time too. I didn't have to look for the contact person or try and convince them that I'm worthy of their 30-minute exploratory call. It was amazing. And nobody was a waste of time. Everybody was tailored to something that I truly needed for my show, and I needed to learn about their different opportunities. If you just would have said, Betsy, this is right for you and that is right for you, I would have done that and that would have saved me a little time. But I wouldn't have been as informed a consumer. And I think that's really important. I mean, as podcast hosts, we're sort of entrepreneurs as well. And you need to know the landscape. You need to be knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And I was able to negotiate some rates with some of these companies because I had talked to another company. I talked to Art19 and they're giving me this. Is there anything you can do here? Because I want to work with you because you're linked to Spotify X, Y, Z, right? So I felt like I learned a lot in the process.
I love that. And I'm with you. I will pay a significant amount of money to be introduced to the
Yes.
actual person that can make the decisions and tell me what to do. Because that was one of my points in like doing this course. I've done many courses, as I'm sure you have. And it's like lots of times you pay all this money and it's still generic, or you have to like pay to
Mhm.
unlock I've done an astrology one and it was like The 101 is just so, so low level. And then you have to pay to unlock. And it's like, no, I want to give people so much value. And it's like, here's the direct person to go to. Here's like the person you need to speak to. Yes, that's what I want to pay for as a person myself. So I'm so glad you got that and you found that valuable.
Yeah. It was a lot of time to take all the steps that you said, but the industry is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And I was operating the same way I had 10 years earlier. 2015, I was still using Libsyn. I was still using the same microphone. I was still, what needs to grow and evolve and change as the industry, of course, explodes.
100%. Next will be the big push for video. So you can, we'll
Oh,
talk.
I've been doing that. I've been doing that.
Oh, good.
I only do video. And that's why I went to Megaphone because they're linked to Spotify. So it's like another web browser. And you get this amazing SEO, search engine optimization, that not only refuels my podcast and helps people find me, but because I've changed the name of my podcast to the name of my business, now my business gets amazing SEO. I mean, yeah.
She's doing it. Betsy, thank you so much for coming on and chatting today. I want you to tell people your podcast. It's Uploft Interior Design, but tell people where they can watch you. Obviously, they can get you on any podcast platform, whether it's iHeart, Spotify, Apple, but tell us everything and your own Uploft business if people are interested in interior design. Give us the whole thing.
Yes. So there's so many ways, but following us on YouTube, you can watch the complete episodes of Uploft Interior Design. And the thing I think is really good about that is, of course, I describe people's pictures when they send in because everybody sends in for questions for me to solve their design dilemmas. So I'm describing the room, but a picture really is worth 1,000 words. So you can take one look on YouTube and see the space and draw your own conclusions about what you'd want to change. So I love that. You can also follow me on Instagram, Uploft Interior Design. And there we share a lot about the podcast, but also about my firm, projects I'm currently working on. We're based in the East Coast. So I live in Connecticut in the suburbs of New York City, and we work in DC, but we work virtually anywhere.
I
So I've
found
designed in Argentina, India, France, England, and of course, all across the United States. Because
Betsy.
I've been in business for 20 years, if you can even believe it, and podcasting for 10.
No, you look way too young. We know you started your business
Got
10
it?
years ago. You're lying about your age. So am I. Perpetually 38. And yeah, we love you. Thank you for stopping by.
Well, I am so glad I listened to your Drake Bell episode because it really has brought me down this amazing path. And I feel like even though we're not besties, because I listen to you almost every day, and because we share a lot of the same opinions on all these crazy shows, Sarah and I are besties. And I just think that podcasting is such a unique way. When you're listening to somebody, this connection becomes so intimate. It's funny, but I think the vibrations of somebody's voice and things like that. And so I really feel connected to you and felt like I could trust you before I took the course. And then I got so much more than I even expected. Highly recommend. Highly recommend.
Well, all right, Betsy, we can't wait. You and I'll be podcasting another decade. We'll see you soon.
Let's see. Keep it going. Keep it going. Great talking to you.
Thanks.